So are you applying for your first mortgage? Well, let me tell you, in this video, we're gonna talk about 14 tips you can use. Stay tuned.
Hey guys, my name is Zach, and in today's video, we're gonna be talking about 14 expert tips in order to make sure that you have the best chance of getting approved for a mortgage for your first home. Let's get right into it. So for me and my wife, about a year ago, we decided that we wanted to buy our first home. So what did we do? We went out, we started looking at different places, and you know what? I thought to myself, I don't really need to get approved. I don't really need to worry about that. I just wanna go look at some houses. I wanna get a feel for it. And so we started looking at houses, but the problem was we weren't even approved yet. We didn't have a pre-qualification letter or anything like that. And so then we decided, you know what? We actually want to get serious about this. So then we went out, we got that pre-qualification letter, we gave them everything under the sun that they needed in order to then be able to get into a position where we could get approved for our first home loan. And that's what we did, and that's when we got this house right here about a year ago. And so in this video, we're gonna talk about what we did in order to be able to set ourselves up for success and 14 tips from experts to be able to do just that. What is the first thing that we need to do? Start financial planning in advance. This means that if you're looking to get approved for a loan, your best bet is to plan for that in a year in advance. So if you're wanting to get approved next year, start planning now. Don't put it off any longer. Start looking at your finances, your credit, get things in order so that you're ready to then be able to get approved for that loan. Tip number 2, don't do what I did. Get pre-qualified early. Get pre-qualified before you go looking at homes. You do want to go look at quite a few different homes so that you're able to get a feel for what kind of home you actually are wanting to get into. But if you find one that you really like and you don't have the pre-qualification letter, then you're up a creek without a paddle. And let me tell you, I've never been there, done that, but I hear it's a bad place to be. Next up, number 3 is speak with a financial advisor or a mortgage broker about how much you can actually afford. Now this goes into my last point about actually understanding the numbers, understanding where your finances are, understanding what your debt to income ratio is, which is the amount of debts that you have every single month that you're paying out for, compared to the amount of money that you're bringing home every month. That's something that either your financial advisor or your mortgage broker would be able to speak to this and help you better understand it for your specific financial situation, but you're gonna wanna know those numbers so that you can move on to the next points. Tip number 4 from the experts is clean up any sort of outstanding debts. Do you have any debts that are things like credit cards or auto loan? If you're able to pay those off, that's gonna reduce your debt to income ratio, which debt to income ratio is just the amount of debt you have compared to your income. And then they come up with this number called your debt to income ratio. And if that's a very low number, then that's gonna enable you to get better rates on your home and be able to afford more of a home. Tip number 5, find a mortgage broker before you put in an offer. You don't wanna be out there putting in offers and not even have any sort of documentation backing you up saying, yes, Zach is approved to be able to buy this house because we've approved him for this. He's good to go. His finances are in order. Let's get this going. You're gonna be competing against a lot of people right now who are in that position, who already have been approved, and you wanna give yourself the best chance of being able to get that house. Tip number 6 is pay down debts. This goes back to what I said before about outstanding debts. You wanna make sure that if there's anything you can pay down, pay it down. It's gonna help you in being able to get approved for a mortgage, and it's also just gonna help you in not having as many obligations. And then when you do get that mortgage, then you're able to just focus on paying that rather than 5 different things that you have payments for every month. Tip number 7 is, if need be, go ahead and restructure that debt. So if you have a debt that is at a very high percentage rate and you're able to restructure it in a way that is a less of a monthly payment, as well as perhaps 0 interest for a time or just less interest, then go ahead and do that. That's gonna help you with that debt to income ratio, and it's also just gonna be able to help you in paying that off faster by doing it a smart way. So consider that. Tip number 8 from the experts is establish consistent employment. If you've been jumping from job to job, or maybe you've been paid under the table and you don't have record of that payment, that's really gonna hurt you when it comes to applying for a mortgage. So either you or your spouse or someone else on the mortgage needs to have consistent payments, typically up to about 2 years worth of employment history that they can look back on. Tip number 9 is check your credit. Now this goes without saying that you need to understand where your credit is in order to understand if do you need to work on your credit over the next 6 months to a year. Do you need to be doing something in order to be able to make sure that your credit is getting in a better position so that you're able to get better terms on that loan. That's something you're gonna wanna look into, and that's something that you're gonna wanna do right now. Tip number 10 is be honest on your application. Do what your mom always told you to. Don't lie. Tell the truth. If they're asking for something, don't just make it up. Make sure to tell the truth, because otherwise you may be hurting yourself if you were to lie, or just to change the truth just a little bit. White lies are not so white when it comes to applying for a mortgage, so be careful with that. Tip number 11 is ask your lender, what are you looking for? So this is just communication. This is just saying, hey, Mr. Lender, sir, what do you need from me? What is it that is going to be needed from me in the next 6 months, 9 months, a year, whenever it is that you want to actually go ahead and be approved and be looking for a house seriously? Ask the lender, what do you need from me? What can I do in order to be in a better position financially to be able to get better terms on this loan? Tip number 12 is minimize any unnecessary expenses. These are things like buying a new MacBook Pro, buying a new iPhone. Put these things off. Maybe don't even do them at all. Make it so that you have the best financial position, that you have money set aside, that you're not dipping into that money consistently to buy things that you really don't need. So make sure that your finances are in place. Tip number 13 is be organized. When I was applying for our loans to be able to get this home, I was putting a folder together. I had everything that they were gonna need. And then when I applied, they said, okay, I need blah, 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 blah. And I'm like, okay, here you go. And I had all of the documents in one centralized location on my computer. Makes it super simple when you're applying for these things. So go ahead and save yourself some time and do that. And tip number 14, save as much as you can. The more money that you're able to set aside, have ready for when you want to purchase that home, it's going to be able to give you better rates. It's going to be able to give you a leg up over the competition. And it's just going to make you feel a little more at ease when you go and purchase that home if you have 10, 15, 20, 40, $50,000 set aside, whatever it is in your market and what's considered good, then that's what you're going to need to have set aside to be able to actually purchase that home. Thank you so much for watching. This has been Zach helping you with your finances, and I'll see you next time. So, you want to get approved for a mortgage, eh? Well, in this video, we're going to talk about what you need to do, what you need to understand, what you need not to do in order to get approved for a home loan. Let's get right into it. Tip number 6 is pay down, I forget,